Hey everybody, welcome in. This one's a little bit about pattern recognition like a pigeon. It's amazing. Pigeons can identify incredible patterns, so maybe I've got a pigeon brain. And second of all, big news about politics and crypto and a whole bunch more of stacking. Thank you as well for coming. We have MB, TND, Tesla, K8, all the mods in the chat. Appreciate you all. Let's jump in. This is about the 70-day consolidation. And make sure I've got everything working here. Yep, hopefully. Well, shout at me if you can't hear me. Anyway, let's jump in. And of course, shout out to the Patreon community and the team behind. This is Oliver Newman. Says, joined Patreon last week for the year and so glad I did. Well, it's going to be a fun ride, that's for sure. Bitcoin only playlist will be here afterwards, and we have new playlists coming too. And we'll talk about the news first. We'll get this out of the way. And it is a little bit political. I don't like talking about politics, but I have to when it impacts crypto. So let's talk about this. First of all, Saylor did have a list of 3 things needed for Bitcoin to go to $5 million. This is from Hey Apollo. And it's super, super interesting, super logical, super straightforward. First step, spot Bitcoin ETF. Check. Second step, FASB fair value accounting rules. Check. Third, banks custody and lend against Bitcoin as collateral. Congress passed a bill enabling this today. Interesting. Against is the key word, not for. Now, why does this matter? We've seen some collateral stuff being banned, being thrown around a week or two ago. I covered it here on the channel. But this is important. This is the whole thing of buy, borrow, and die concept that many of you know about if you follow this channel. That is, rich people don't sell their hard assets. They borrow against them. Closing this borrowing against your Bitcoin loophole is going to ding the space a little bit. It doesn't impact the price, but it stops a lot of the upward projection and does bring about some sell pressure, which is not good. But the really multi-billionaires in the world, they have things like stocks and real estate, etc. They keep going up in value and they keep borrowing against them, and then they write off the interest they pay on the debt, which they use by which to live and buy yachts. They never sell their existing asset, therefore they never pay capital gains taxes. It's the other loophole that the government officials are trying to go after unrealized capital gains taxes. Anyway, I'm getting down a rabbit hole here, but this is important. This has to change because it doesn't make any sense. Bitcoin is an asset. You should be able to borrow against it. I spent way too much time in this array, so I'm going to move on. Speaking of politics, gimme the biddy. Trump is out last night. It's funny, I am no political strategist, but I do have these 5 key points. Anybody could win this election if they embrace 5 key things. One of them only, is crypto. And this guy just did a bit of maybe a checkmate move. And I'm not political. Personally, I don't like Biden or this fellow. I think we can do better. But anyway, being at least pro-crypto will put 44 million voters in his back pocket on top of the other people too, which is important. So maybe a shrewd move. Also, he likes the money. Bring in that crypto. I'll take money in any form I can get, is what he says basically. Now, why is crypto political? A lot of people say, ooh, don't mix Bitcoin with politics. But remember, a little bit of history, everybody. Bitcoin is political from its very, very early roots. And this comes from the cypherpunk movement, in which crypto emerged. It was inherently political, advocating for things like privacy, individual freedom in the digital age. And even Satoshi made a political statement on the very first Genesis block, again, which contains a powerful political message cementing the political nature of crypto from its inception. And finally, crypto's increasing relevance as well. As crypto gains mainstream adoption, its political implications become harder to ignore, forcing politicians to take a stance on this transformative technology. Now, if you are against crypto, this will not bode well for you over time as it becomes more adopted. It's like shooting yourself in the foot. So, getting that out of the way, EU is coming in hard. Just in, European Securities and Markets Authority, EU's Financial Supervisory Authority, is considering allowing a $12 trillion investment markets, I think it's called the UCITS funds, to invest in Bitcoin. And they're seeking industry feedback on the risks and benefits of this move. Again, this is the game theory we've spoken about from the beginning of time is really happening piece by piece. All these little dominoes are beginning to fall, which is wonderful for us, because that's why we like to get in early, get in hard as well. So thank you all for coming. And another kind of crazy news too, this one, it's the what I call the market maker game of the ETFs. How can literally over $1 billion in volume happen and there are zero inflows? Okay, only one, that's Bitwise, had an inflow of 12 million yesterday. Only one. The rest, all flat. Zero. Not one Bitcoin bought or sold. Suspect or what? This is the volume yesterday. Over $1 billion. $500 million was traded. Not one Bitcoin was added or released. And of course, this is the whole market maker game. But it's as if everybody's getting in on it. We saw BlackRock do it first. Now the rest of the players are playing this market making game too. And that's why, wherever you are in the world, everybody, if you are in the receiving end of handling money, you will make money. If you are in politics and you're close to the Cantillon machine, you will make money. Okay? So a little pro tip, if you want to make money, get close to the money. Follow the money. It's that simple. Rule of life. Anyway, it's funny. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be kind of a physicist or a chemist or something. And he said, people in white coats don't make money. Follow the money. That's why I've always said it. Anyway, a little bit of history there. May he rest in peace. Breaking news as well. Once again, hey Apollo, FTX Payout is going to be big, returning $15 billion cash to creditors. The question is, these are creditors that originally invested in crypto. They're now getting $15 billion in cash. What are they going to invest in now? And Hey Apollo thinks it's going to go back into Bitcoin and maybe some altcoins too. So this is another little cash injection for the space, which will be good for price action. Now I'll get to the 70-day consolidation thing in a minute, so please be patient. That'll come under chart time. Just got to get the news out of the way first. Breaking news as well. MassMutual is stacking more Bitcoin. This from Bitcoin Magazine. Insurance giant MassMutual reports exposure to Bitcoin ETFs in its 13F filings. That is probably through BlackRock or something else. But I do want to bring up some history. And I covered this back in, I think it was 2021, when MassMutual, may have been late 2020 as well, they invested $100 million in Bitcoin, showing their interest in cryptocurrency and its potential as an investment. And this was helped by NYDIG back in the day, if I recall. Again, MassMutual, super conservative insurance company, stacking Bitcoin. And remember, the way the insurance business works, it's like the follow the money story. They take in money and they invest that money to have a bag in the event something goes wrong with their customers. They repay it. But when you're sitting on the money, you want to get max return. These guys sit on, I think it's $500 billion of money, and they need to get alpha on that money. The more alpha they make and the less they pay out, the more profit they make. Real simple. Anyway, that's the insurance business. Breaking news as well. And I know every time I talk about Mr. 100, I just get peppered. Oh, you're an idiot. It's an Upbit wallet. Arkham Research said that. And I keep on saying, I know, but it's not the behavior. Okay, it's not the behavior of a cold wallet. I've analyzed them all for years. Thank goodness for HODL 15 Capital. Comes out yesterday and says, Upbit, yes, it is a South Korean exchange. And they are the custodian. However, Upbit does not own the Bitcoin per their own financial disclosures. So again, this is a stacking wallet. Okay? Within the Upbit exchange, but it's nothing to do with Upbit. It is not their cold wallet. So can we just put that to rest at last. I made an entire video on it. People thought I was crazy. Anywho, there's a method to the madness, as they say. Let's get into some charts, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, 10 million addresses now have more than $1,000 in Bitcoin. Of course, as the price of Bitcoin goes up, the amount of Bitcoin you need to have $1,000 is not there. But the point is, it is more adoption, which is wonderful. And again, you can see it's come down a little bit in terms of the number of addresses, because that'll happen as the price fell from 73,800 down to 62K. And we'll talk a lot about that magical $62,000 number in a minute too. First of all, this is good news. All right. Now, there was a lot of talk that if people invest in an ETF, they're kind of like 401k, retirement fund, pension fund investments, mass mutuals of the world. They don't invest and then take it out and invest and take it out. They play a medium to long-term game. We're talking 3 years, 5 years, 15 years plus. They're like the Warren Buffetts of investing. And this is from Tim Peterson. And the Bitcoin ETF investors bought when the price went up, but did not sell when the price went down. That's important. So if you look at the blue line, yes, the inflows stalled around the middle of March. Okay, now we got May 9th, so nearly 2 months later. They're creeping up, but they did stall, and there was a lot of dumpage from Grayscale, which had a huge impact on this line. The point is that line is flat, all right? The cumulative ETF fund flows is flat, around $12 billion, and the price fell down, okay? This is what they call sticky adoption, and this is what they call the low time preference, not people day trading Bitcoin ETFs, which is super good for the space too. And yesterday, I covered this from CoinShares. The average ETF buy price, again, is 62,200. All right, that's the estimate since they launched on January 11th. And even as the price fell, it didn't trigger a lot of sell orders. And now we have, again, I mentioned the pigeon at the beginning, we are exactly at $62,160 Bitcoin, which is exactly the price of the average ETF holder. So they didn't sell, as we saw here from the sticky time preference. And that point is very, very important, the 62K. The question is, what happens next? That's what I'm asking myself, because people want to say, when is the Bitcoin going to go to the moon? Before we get to that chart, the 7-day consolidation, I'll show you that little thing in a minute. You can see here, OTC Desks have been replenished. Yet another proof point of this. There is now no supply shortage for now. They have 205,000 Bitcoin. So maybe between the market makers who are taking in the cash, buying the Bitcoin at 62,000 or less, holding it, some type of game is happening behind the scenes. I just can't put my finger on it exactly. But believe me, that's why they're called market makers. If there was no money in market making, there would be no market makers. Again, back to money. Follow the money. And Hong Kong is stacking. They are now up to 4,350 Bitcoin, not 4,200. Slight typo in the title. And rumors, this is good news. This is from, I think it's Hey Apollo again. Unbelievable. Okay, so much great stuff. And shout out to Sanjay as well, who got it to me. Rumors are swirling of a pending approval into Hong Kong Stock Connect, which would allow mainland Chinese investors to invest in Bitcoin and ignite the market. We already know high net worth people can already get their hands on this because they have the rails, but now everybody could as well. Again, those that are looking for a way of diversifying away from real estate, which apparently is on the little rebound in China right now as we speak, at least from the developer front too. So more stacking happening. Now, another quick chart before we get into the cool charts. The market needs a little bit of negativity for short positions to really propel us forward. And right now, that could be the push upward. But right now, there isn't a lot of short positions. People are afraid. They've covered them. So it could be a gradual climb or a big pump if people start getting bearish. But it's also a good sign that when the shorts kind of vacate, they know, okay, we're at the bottom. Okay, at least the clever ones do. There still is a lot of bearish sentiment out there, but if you just go back and look at all the stackers, and these are the early stackers. When you talk about Mass Mutual buying IBIT or whatever they bought, Fidelity, it's early. That will get the attention of every other insurance company around the world. Thank you, staff, for coming. Okay, let's get into a little bit of my chart time. All right, let's look at a couple of patterns here. First of all, this is going back to 2020. As you can see, we had the bear market trigger in November 2021, and we went all the way down to basically, you could call it, I can't see that exact date, but I do know it's exactly 420 days. From the top to the bottom, 420 days. Some people find a lot of significance in that magical number 420, but anyway, you can't make this up. From top to bottom of the chart, it is exactly 420 days. A lot of people say the bear market lasts 365 days. No, I'm measuring from the very top, not the duration of how flat we were for a long time, but from the top to the bottom, and that is the bear market from the very beginning to the end. So I hope that's clear, everybody. Second of all, we had a consolidation period around that 40,000. Mr. Hammer, good to see you back, sir. Thank you for coming. 40,000. I always spoke about that level of sub 42. That was support, that was resistance in the past. And boy, was it sticky this time around again. And now we are back way above 40,000. But what's interesting is we consolidated at that $40,000 level for exactly 70 days. Okay. There's a method again to the madness here. Next, where are we right now? Coincidentally, the current Bitcoin consolidation period is exactly 70 days as of today, which means if history repeats, we should go up from here. It's like I always talk about climbing up the mountain. You rest at the plateau for a little while, you have a sandwich, you have a drink, and then you start hiking up the next piece. Because Bitcoin gets tired. The buyers get tired. The sellers get excited. And that consolidation period, again, we are exactly at 70,000 or 70 days at this $60,000, $62,000, $64,000 level coming off the top. So the question is, where do we go now? I think considering everything that's happening, there's probably a good chance that maybe 60, 80% chance we go higher from here. Okay? We shall see. Now, final chart of the day, and I love this as well. This is from Anil. And remember this, everybody needs to understand, and some of the best charts in the world are the simplest charts. So on the left, you have real wages. That's what you actually get when you take out the CPI index, the inflation index, and you got productivity. Humans are becoming more productive and have been since 1970, but they're getting paid the same amount of money in real terms. Okay, people are being squeezed. And the money that they are getting is going down in terms of purchasing power. So Bitcoin is the answer to this. Otherwise, you will be on the road to serfdom if you are just depending on your salary. Again, a little bit of hard-hitting news, but it's important you're aware of this too. All right, let's check out the ETFs and where we are and the weird stuff that happened yesterday. First of all, day 82, nothing. But Bitwise, 11.5 million, nothing. 0 day. Very bizarre. Huge volume, over $1 billion in volume, 0 moves, which means the market makers are playing their games. Next, macro update, you can see very quiet. It's like one of those EKG monitors. Everything's gone flat. But we know it's always calmest before the storm. So expect a pump soon. It'd be funny if it happened tomorrow, day 71. That would be hilarious. That would show maybe these charts do mean something after all. Let's jump in. Total money flow, as I mentioned, we just had that little inflow of $11.5 million. Again, above the trend of pink, which we like. 34 billion still into the 9 new ETFs. Nothing really changed there. And the first ever 0 day for Grayscale. That now makes up 3 days of 0 or positive. We had 2 positive days, 1 0 day. A 0 day for GBTC, I take as a win. Maybe now they have hit that equilibrium where the inflow meets the outflow, i.e. no more mega dumpage. Fingers crossed, because that puts a lot of sell pressure on the asset. If this is dried up and the money starts coming in again here on this macro view, we're back in business, ladies and gentlemen. And final picture, how many were taken out of the system or added to the system yesterday? Yesterday we had 188 Bitcoin taken from the system. And then we also have Mr. 100 yesterday bought 600 yesterday. That's more than the 450 daily issuance. And we also have Hong Kong stacking, a couple hundred a day, 200 to 500 a day, depending on the day. And they've done 4,350 in 7 trading days. So again, everybody's chipping away at this. And you got insurance companies buying. You got the European Union, UCITS, thinking about buying and stacking some too. It's just a matter of time, ladies and gentlemen, so be patient. Don't be shook out. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to mods in the chat. I'll be back shortly with a special video too. And have a great... I don't even know what day it is. It's Thursday. Have a great Thursday, everybody. See you later. Bye.